TV guys. Obviously today's video is going to be on the Falken MT. Sorry for the echo. We're just going to have to work through it until I can get some mics. The size on this is 38x13.50R17s. You can't buy these yet, but later on this year in 2019 you can. So let's get started. As some of you know, I am a field craft survival marketing consultant, and part of that deal is Falken has distributed these tires to myself and some of my other buddies for evaluation. Now these ones, like I said, are not available until the end of this year, and I have ran them for about 10,000 miles. These ones still have all the little nubs on them. This one's the brand new spare that I'm actually going to cycle in today into rotation. So getting right into it, you know, for the last 10,000 miles, these things have been pretty awesome. I have had the pleasure of running several other tires, never at this size, with the exception of a different vehicle that had 38s, and I've gotten some pretty good experiences with the MT market. Now what's interesting about these is MT does not stand for mud terrains like we're all accustomed to, you know, with the other tire brands. MT for these guys is maximum traction. So when you get into these have a pretty thick sidewall. That really is the first question that I ask when I'm looking at a tire. I'm used to running something that's super thick, you know, 10 ply, because for us who are, you know, running JKs or JLs or in rucks or in Arizona, that's basically what's going to see the most use. So now this one does have a pretty good sidewall. On this one you can see it's pretty brand new because it is. The only marks on it are from the tire carrier. On some of my other ones, and I'll probably roll some B-roll footage of that, you can see the other ones, they've taken a beating. The first thing we did when we put them on, I mounted them here in the garage myself before the Southern Border Adventure, and then shot over to Discount Tire, and they balanced them for me. And immediately that day we went on, it was like a 5-day trip with at least 3,000 miles on them just to start off with. So the trip went really well, went off without a hitch, no issues. These things have great mannerisms on the road, which is very interesting because whenever you get into, you know, 35, 37, 38, 40s, that kind of goes out the window when it comes to what you can expect. These, however, are pretty soft. The sidewall actually does react really well when it's aired down and aired up. So for these, a lot of people always ask me, you know, what's the PSI that you're running on these things? And I don't want you guys to get too caught up on PSI. For the record, on the trip, I think you can see that I dropped into like 5 PSI in one instance to crawl through the rocks. And then during street travel, I'm typically around 30, 28, maybe sometimes 32, just depending on how hot it is. But what I want to say with PSI is don't get too caught up on the numbers. What you're looking for, and every tire is different. I had a different MT than this, and when I ran different pressures, it actually reacted a lot differently than this one. So don't get hung up on PSI. What you want to do is look for deflection. What that means is when you get down here and the tire starts to deflate, you want to see how much deflection comes out on the tire. This one does it pretty quickly in regular temperatures. Now regular temperatures are like 70, 75. Rubber reacts differently in different temperatures. So that's why I don't want you to get hung up. Even this tire reacts differently when I had it in the snow than when I had it in the desert during, you know, the hotter temperatures. So for this one, I actually ended up going to like a 3 PSI when I was in the snow because it was very cold and the rubber actually got a little harder. So 3 PSI down. Now I can do that obviously because you guys can see I have the Raceline Monster beadlocks in the Raw Dog billet aluminum on there. I'm sorry, it's not billet, it's forged. But the Raw Dog aluminum is on there, and because of that beadlock, I can drop them down and take them wherever I need to go. Some of you did ask me because I have a buddy who I work closely with that ran these exact same MTs, a prior generation than this one, and he had a really bad experience. When I took these on, I had that in mind. We kind of had a little dialogue between the Falken and Field Craft Survival. And one of the things they had expressed to us is they acknowledged that there was an issue in the beginning, but they have rectified that and to test these out and expect different results. Basically what happened with my buddy is that the lugs got really chewed up when he was on the Rubicon. And when it did that, it actually took the whole carcass out with it. So the whole thing basically just came apart. And it wasn't just one of his tires, it was several of them. I'm not sure what your experiences have been for those of you who run these, but for the last 10,000 miles, I haven't had any chunking, any issues with any of that. and I really put these through the paces. Like I said, I'm at about 10,000 miles with these. I think a really solid number to shoot for is 40,000 miles. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because the last set of MTs that I had on here did totally fine with 40,000 miles. And that's on-road and a lot of off-road use. So that's kind of the telltale sign. And I'll probably get on here and do another update on them once I hit 40,000 miles. But that's kind of the measure that I'm using to rate these. Now on road, I would give them high ratings, like I had said previously. In the snow, I would give them high ratings, like I said previously. I ran them in the sand, and honestly, the tread pattern and the lugs, the big large lugs and clear outs, the sides they have, do really well. I've also ran these in the mud, and when you're dealing with a tire this size, this wide, I mean, they just spit mud everywhere. Clean out really nicely. They maintain their shape really nicely no matter what PSI you're at. And in the rain on the road even, I've had no issues. A lot of times when you're running something this big and with a vehicle like this, you can tell how big my hands are. When you're running something this big, a lot of people tend to get afraid that they're going to lose traction on the road or slide around or flip or what have you. And honestly, I've had no issues with these tires. Even at cornering, at speed, highway, you name it. Honestly, this has been the best tire I have ever ran. And that's a bold statement because I've ran, the big names. I've ran Toyo, I've ran Goodrich, I've run Nitto. Not in a mud terrain in the Nittos, but I have run their all-terrains and tires like that. I would like to test those here in the future. But as far as Falken goes, guys, I mean, I really don't have anything negative to say about them. There is one instance that I did have, I believe on this tire, and I'll show you some of that in some footage here, is I did puncture the sidewall right between one of the lugs when we came back from that trip that I was talking about. Just here in my backyard, you guys see me posting a lot on Instagram, just being out there on a normal trail. I was doing some rock crawling, getting through a section there, and there was a small tree branch that did make its way straight through the carcass. Now, what was interesting about it is it was within the first week of me having these. So it kind of set me back a little bit, and I immediately thought, well, you know what, it's not that big a deal because I have done that to all the other tires that I've had. If you will them hard enough, I mean, there's just things that you can't prevent. And when it comes to sidewall and a sharp stick, or a metal rod, I even had in a different set of tires than these. I mean, there's not really much you can do. Easily fixed though, I have a plug on it, got me home, no worries. I'm actually gonna cycle that one back to my spare for now and maybe get another one in the future. For now, it's fine. I have this spare. One of the things I will say, and I will kind of go a little bit off track, but it does have to do with tires, is you always want to have a spare on your rigs. If you're doing any kind of sustainment, overlanding, adventuring, I highly recommend a full-size spare. I myself have recently had an incident to where I was flat towing this. I had a blowout in the rear on different tires, not these ones. And thank God that I had a spare because we were 14 hours away from Arizona in the middle of nowhere, and I would have had to leave the Jeep there and take my RV elsewhere, and then who knows if I would have been able to get a 37 or 38 at any point during that trip. So if you're doing extended trips, it's fine. If you're just going to be rock crawling or you're trailing, obviously you don't need a spare, but I highly recommend get something that can hold this thing, hold the weight, and keep it secure. As far as Falken tire guys, I give them 2 thumbs up. Excellent rating in my book. Again, I've only done 5,000 miles. No, 10,000 miles, sorry. And the evaluation continues. Like I said, 40,000 is right where I want to be. They do great in all terrains. I haven't found a weakness on them yet. They are a little softer than what I'm used to, so we'll see what the longevity is on them. If you have any further questions, let me know, guys. I'm going to try and release one of these videos once a week. This is this week's video. I have a lot of products that are involved with a lot of these testing and evaluation things that we do here. So stay tuned to MHTV, guys, and I look forward to seeing you to the next one. Make sure you like and subscribe, guys. Talk to you soon. Did you hear my back flop? That was hard. can be done. That's heavy, dude.